that experts are calling depression. We need to help the American people. This doesn't seem to need to be so hard, Joe.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, it was all showbiz. As John Lennon saying, nobody loves you when you're down and out. It's all showbiz. And Jonathan Lemire, he knew he couldn't get what he needed from Democrats. He knew he wasn't going to get the negotiations going in the direction he wanted them to go in. So as you reported yesterday, he made these announcements that were, again, pretty remarkable achievement. They were both unconstitutional and meaningless at the same time. So as we move forward, and as we find out, again, speaking of alternative realities, that the president lied through his teeth about Democrats wanting to come back to the table because they said, we didn't call him. It's just like when he lied about China calling him. Remember that from last summer? China called. They had 2 calls from China. No, they didn't. He lies. He makes things up. He did that again yesterday. So now that we find ourselves in that position, Jonathan Lemire, what's going to happen today with negotiations? And also negotiations going forward through the week with so many Americans suffering.
Well, Joe, you're right. There seems to be a lot less to these executive actions, and they're not even all executive orders, than the White House certainly initially framed. This was a political move in many ways. This was the president trying to, after largely staying on the sidelines for the first few weeks of these negotiations, trying to insert himself into the center of it, to try to, in the White House's framing, make himself a man of decisive action, breaking through the Washington gridlock. And it follows a pattern, Joe, of the president here in the stretch run of this year. We're under 3 months into the election, really betting big on himself. He's always been one, of course, been reluctant to cede the spotlight. He's always been one who has fancied himself his best press secretary. He's not just trying to win a news cycle, but trying to win a news moment, trying to change that cable chyron on the bottom of the screen. And we have seen him now, once again, push himself forward alone for the daily coronavirus task force briefing, thinking that is his best opportunity to show a somewhat somber approach to the crisis, as well as replace the fact that he can't have any sort of campaign rallies. This is his outlet to address his supporters, to soak up media attention. We have seen him, of course, he and his team are betting big on the debates later this fall, thinking that that's his best chance to turn around things against Joe Biden. We have seen him try to promote his convention speech, which he's now floating as either at the White House or perhaps at Gettysburg, which drew a lot of condemnation from a lot of places. And then, of course, these actions here.
Wait. Let's stop right there, Jonathan. Why did it draw condemnation from a lot of places other than it would be actually a breach of ethics, right? If he did it at the White House or if he did it at Gettysburg?
Both of those options, Joe, would indeed run afoul of ethics violations. We have seen this administration has often not paid too much attention to the Hatch Act, which prevents explicit political lobbying on federal property, including the White House. And now it doesn't totally apply to the president. And there's some precedent for using the White House as backdrop for political events, but certainly nothing as grand as a acceptance speech, a convention acceptance speech. And then Gettysburg, too, which is a national park. It's a federal landmark. Also would not necessarily be appropriate, in addition to being what it is, a sacred place, in many ways a cemetery. And indeed, of course, a controversial choice, perhaps, for a president who has spent a lot of time and energy in recent weeks and months defending Confederate generals, and whether it's statues or military bases. And of course, there are plenty of Confederate monuments at Gettysburg, in addition, of course, to remembrances of a turning point in the Civil War. But quickly back to the executive actions and negotiations. There's nothing scheduled right now. It's very clear. The White House is sending signals, and that's what they're saying the president is trying to get across here, that they're trying to restart talks. They want Democrats to come back to the table. They want Republicans in the Senate to do the same. They want to be a willing participant in negotiations. But there's a significant gap of well over $1 trillion between the two. And right now, the president is trying to just sort of step into it as almost as a public relations move, with governors, of course, upset about what he's actually laid out before them.